At this point, it isn't a huge secret that single-use plastics aren't great for the environment. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, more than 30 million tons of plastic waste was generated by Americans in 2009. Of that, research suggests only about 5% of that plastic waste was recovered for recycling. What's worse is that these plastics take an incredibly long time to degrade, up to 1,000 years, and it has to go somewhere. Sadly, its destination is usually our oceans and landfills, where it continues to release chemicals that are harmful to our health and the environment. Each year, millions of seabirds and marine life are killed by plastic waste, a fact that makes the Ellen MacArthur Foundation's prediction that by 2050 there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish even more disheartening and alarming. And it's not just marine life that's suffering. A significant amount of trash remains on dry land. Because this is such a huge problem, we'd like to take a look at the ways in which our plastic use is negatively affecting our world's land animals, as well as what we can do to mitigate that impact. Take a look. 1. They get caught in it. From the raccoons with their heads caught in plastic food containers to the deer that get their antlers caught in our discarded waste, land animals are equally as inclined to suffer when they encounter plastic garbage as sea animals. Because much of it smells like food, it's not uncommon for them to attempt to eat any remaining morsels they may find in a can or jar. Unfortunately, while this is often presented as being kind of adorable, when these animals get trapped, it can be extremely serious. For starters, if the object is stuck on their heads, it can make it difficult for the animal to breathe. This can lead to suffocation and overheating. Further, if the object doesn't get removed, it can stop them from drinking or eating, which can lead to dehydration and starvation. When animals get wrapped up in garbage, it can prevent them from functioning as they normally would. It can limit their mobility, making it difficult to hunt, gather, and find water sources. It also makes it harder to flee when being hunted and to dodge traffic in the city. This is such a hindrance that animals have been known to injure themselves in an attempt to disentangle themselves from the garbage they've gotten caught in. 2. They consume it. While it's easy for us to distinguish between that to-go container and the food it's containing, it's a little less obvious to animals. It's not uncommon for animals to unintentionally consume our discarded plastic waste. And while this may sound less than appetizing, these animals have a bigger concern than just whether or not the object is pleasing to their palates. The trash they ingest can wreak havoc on their digestive systems. From causing intestinal blockages to internal lacerations, the plastic we discard definitely wasn't created with the idea of being digested. Sadly, consuming our trash often leads to death for the animals that are unlucky enough to find it. 3. It stops them from flying. While we already mentioned the devastating effects of animals getting caught up in trash, we think birds deserve a whole section. Why? Because our plastic waste can take away the most impressive thing about them, their ability to fly. For a bird, flight is everything. They use flight for migration, which affects both their ability to reproduce and find food. Have you ever seen a massive flock of migrating birds? Imagine being the only bird left behind because you have a piece of plastic attached to your wing. Or consider a bird that can't fly and therefore can't hunt, build a nest, or escape predators. The likelihood of that bird's survival is extremely low. 4. They're poisoned by it. It's not just intestinal blockages and the potential for lacerations animals need to be concerned about when they consume garbage. Unfortunately, that garbage can also be toxic to them. The chemicals found in plastic can be detrimental to the overall health of the animal that ingests it. From hormonal changes that can lead to reproductive abnormalities to an overactive immune system, the consumption of plastic can lead to some very serious health concerns. So, what can we do? While all of that sounds pretty doom and gloom, there are things we can all start doing to reduce our contribution to the problem. The good news? Most of these things are pretty simple and may even save you a few dollars. Ditch the plastic water bottles and opt for a reusable one instead. Skip the straw or use a paper straw. Pass on paper and plastic at the grocery store and instead bring your own reusable totes. Pro tip, keep them in your car to avoid forgetting them. Buy in bulk to reduce plastic container waste.